Welcome, everyone. I thought this evening the approach I would use would be to begin here with some explanation, really kind of an orientation and instructions in sitting Zen meditation. And then we will take a little while, maybe 10 minutes, to sit together and give Zen meditation a try together. And I'll time that for, I'll set the little bell timer for 10 minutes. And then we'll have time for discussion and questions and thoughts. And I'd be interested in any other of the folks that are here's approach to the meditation practice if they do that. So could you just, I think I can see if you raise your hand like that, how many of you have experience in some kind of mindfulness meditation? Everybody. Zen, in a Zen style, in some formal Zen place? Great, just Laura. So it's interesting, I think. Mindfulness meditation has become almost like a cultural phenomenon over the last 10 or so years. And so there are many, many different approaches to it, many different senses of what it means, what that engaging in that kind of practice offers to people, the kind of expectations people are led to have about meditation practice and how it will affect their lives or affect them as individuals. And so it's a little interesting to, in that milieu, to kind of launch into explaining the Zen approach to meditation. So just to give you a bit of a context, what I'm going to present in introducing Zen meditation is what in the Asian and particularly the Japanese tradition, which is the tradition that came to the America mainly starting in the mid-1960s from several Japanese teachers who came to the US, is in the Soto, Japanese, what's called Soto Zen tradition, which is, Soto is one of the Zen schools in Japan. And pretty much all of Zen practice engages in this kind of meditation. It's called, the Japanese word for it is zazen, Z-A-Z-E-N. And that Japanese term, za, means sitting, and zen means meditation. So that just simply means sitting meditation. In fact, if you say, in English we say, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to go do some Zen meditation. You're actually saying, I'm going to go do some meditation, because Zen is just a term in Japanese that means meditation. Zazen is, in its purest, cutting to the core nature of it, is called shikantaza in Japanese. And that term means, it's not so easy to translate, but it's usually translated as something like just sitting. Or in that case, that just means only, something like only, right? So here you are, and you're only sitting. You're not doing anything else. Excluding all other potential things, you're just sitting. And so in shikantaza, it's very simple. There's no, like what are sometimes called mantra or phrase you repeat in your head. There's no guiding your attention. You often, in many kinds of mindfulness meditation, you might have a teacher. This often happens in yoga centers, where a teacher is guiding you through, like, and now I want you to focus on the tips of your nostrils and feel the air coming in and out. And now take your attention to your chin and then to your chest. And people will kind of talk through how to guide your attention during meditation. In zazen, in shikantaza, it's completely open to everything, uh, which is a bit unusual and somewhat, because of that, kind of difficult to explain in a sense. So I'll say it like this, and since it's open to everything, it involves everything that's happening and is present in each moment as you're sitting there in the meditation, right? So for that reason, it definitely engages your body, your whole self. And in Zen meditation, there's a particular posture that we sit in. It's a little like a yoga posture. You could, if you've practiced yoga and you go into certain ways that you hold your body in a certain form. Only in zazen, you hold the form of zazen a bit longer. So I'll come back to the posture of zazen. But it's so it's your body, it's your mind, of course, and what your mind is doing while you're sitting there, because of the nature of this amazing thing that evolution has bequeathed us with. Your mind is most typically quite active and rummaging around doing the things that it does. And so part of sitting meditation is being with that, allowing it to be, allowing your body to be what it is, and allowing your body to be in space the way it is. So you might be, each of us are sitting in a certain room. We can feel our body in that space. One of the most prevalent parts of that feeling is how our weight, which is actually gravity, holding us down on the chair. So you can feel where the parts of your body are touching whatever you're sitting on. You can feel if your hand is on your knee or your lap. You can feel yourself touching yourself. You can be aware of your posture and how your body's arranged in space. The other part of being present in meditation and allowing everything to be what it is, of course, your sensory functions are all functioning. So if your friend or your cook or your spouse is in the kitchen making some wonderfully aroma-filled Indian dish, you will be smelling it. And your ears are open, of course, and if people walk by on the street chatting and the window's open, you may hear them, or if a siren goes by or an airplane goes over. In our Zen zazen, in Zen sitting meditation, we keep our eyes open as well. So your eyes are aware of, again, of the space you're in, of the room you're in. Typically, you let your eyes relax and kind of be downcast in front of you, maybe at like a 45-degree angle toward the floor. So you're not looking around the room, but your eyes are open. Your peripheral vision is functioning. So if someone came flitting by on the side, you would be aware of it. If you're sitting together, which we often are in a meditation hall where you're sitting side by side with other folks, and there are people beside you and maybe people across from you, you're quite aware that they're there. You may hear the person beside you breathing if their breath kind of stands out a bit. You certainly are aware of them in your peripheral vision. So you're completely present in those moments that you're doing Zen meditation. And the goal isn't to remove any of that, or to concentrate your mind in some way that you can leave where you are. And because the larger context of this approach to meditation is that you can carry into your life, into your everyday life, the same approach in essence to being present with everything that's happening in any particular moment, whether it's chatting with a friend, preparing a meal, walking your dog, or cleaning the toilet or something like that. And so this approach to meditation is um, is not designed to create some kind of wall around you during the time when you're so-called meditating, but rather open yourself to everything that is in exactly the way it is, and to completely accept and allow. To me, my favorite word to describe zazen, a favorite verb, is allow. So during sitting, the activity we're engaged in, the verb that would describe what we're doing is, at least one way, is we're allowing. We're allowing everything to be what it is, including us in that moment to be what we are, and everything else. And in Zen, we often use these words, everything, all beings. You hear them if you read Zen literature. And you might think, oh, that's a metaphor. But actually, it's meant to be precise and descriptive. So when we say allow everything to be what it is, that includes literally everything. From the black holes far off in a distant galaxy to what's happening in Syria, where people are being your dog that is going to nag you to go out in the yard, and to you being yourself on the cushion, being present in stillness. I thought I would just read a little description of zazen. Kind of, it uses a Zen way of talking, kind of a Zen way of using descriptive terms to try to describe this, because it's easy. It's kind of easy for me to say these things, or any of us to say them or think these concepts, like allowing everything to be what it is. And that's just words, though. It's those words represent ideas or constructs we could have in our mind, and we create a sense of them with our mind, but they're not the thing itself. And so it's often Zen teachers, Zen masters, they're so-called sometimes, use really unusual language to try to get at the essence of what this is, because it's something that is it's probably bigger than it's possible to describe, in a sense. It's so inclusive that when we try to use words to express it, we're of a matter of course, we're narrowing it down to something that makes it what it isn't, which is quite tricky. So this is a little description by a Zen teacher whose name is Reb Anderson. He was a disciple, a student of Suzuki Roshi, who, Laura, you mentioned the book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Suzuki, a Zen master who came from Japan back in the early 60s and taught at the San Francisco Zen Center, which is where I first started practicing Zen practice, and I knew Suzuki Roshi and other teachers back then. So I knew this guy, Reb Anderson. He was the head student at the very first intensive meditation retreat I went to at San Francisco Zen Center. Anyway, these are his words describing it. Zazen is neither concentration practice nor not concentration practice. If we are practicing concentration, zazen is just being upright and unmoving in the midst of practicing concentration. If we are not practicing concentration, zazen is just sitting upright and unmoving in the midst of not practicing concentration. Although one might joyfully practice focusing on the posture or the breath with no gaining idea, zazen is not limited to this form of practice. Zazen is pure presence, untouched by all human agency, relying on no contrivance. The stillness of the Buddha's sitting is not merely stillness, it is complete presence in stillness. There is not the slightest meddling. It is physical and mental non-interfering. So there's a bunch of different ideas in there, but I think you get the sense of this idea of not meddling. There's not bringing up or engaging with human contrivances. He used that word, contrivances, which are like ideas or constructs or mental formations of one kind or another. And so what does that mean in practice? So it's actually easy in one really important sense. So we'll ring a bell, we'll ring 3 times, and we'll have our posture be kind of nice, and then we'll be present. And what happens when we're just sitting still and being present is our breathing naturally goes on. Nothing we can do about it. In zazen, you don't change your normal breathing, you just allow your breathing to continue. But it can be a nice focus for your time in meditation, but also your whole posture, you being aware of the feeling of your body, the feeling of yourself touching and being held down to the chair you're sitting on or couch or whatever it is. Your awareness of the room that you're sitting in will be present. Your eyes are open. Any sounds that happen to wander by, you might hear your own breathing, actually. Your mind might, wander back and forth to noticing any of those things. But then your mind will also, wander off in whatever it does. So you might find yourself thinking about something that happened today earlier, something that was upsetting or something that was nice or wonderful or joyful. You might find yourself worrying about something coming up in the next few days or months. You might find yourself thinking about yourself. There have been research studies about what we do, what our minds do during every minute of our lives, and 80 to 90% of the time, we're thinking about ourselves. Either, what somebody said to us, what somebody did to us, what we're going to do to somebody, so that naturally that will probably start to happen while you're sitting. All of that is fine, because remember, the zazen, the purpose of zazen is to allow whatever is present to be present. Although the goal, in a sense, is to be present right where you are. So if your mind does wander off and the image is in your mind, you're at the beach taking a lovely walk along the beach, then you're not present in the room where you are anymore, right? You're not noticing your breath. You're not feeling your body in space and the effects of gravity. You're not aware of the room around you anymore. So when in your meditation, your mind wanders off, you'll eventually notice that it has wandered off, probably some seconds or minutes after it's already taken you somewhere else. Just come right back to being where you are. Come back to noticing your body and your posture, to noticing your breath, to being calm and still, exactly where you are. And then after another 30 seconds or some time, your mind may wander off again. Just as soon as you notice that your mind has wandered off, just come back to being present where you are again. And a big part of that is the never-ending phenomena of our breath and our breathing. So it makes a very natural focal point to engage in this present moment. One of our teachers in Boundless Zazen, David Reineck Roshi, who's lives at the temple in Worcester, was describing once in a talk he was giving. Actually, he was giving this talk in the parlor at the society. We had invited him to come over to our Tuesday evening meditation practice. And he said, so you sit down on your cushion or in a chair to sit zazen, And you're sitting and your mind is calm and you're present and you're feeling everything that's happening in the present moment. And that's good. That's fine. And then your mind wanders off, and that's fine too. That's what our minds do. And then you notice that your mind has wandered off. That's good. That's consciousness. That's us being aware of one part of ourselves and what's happening. So that's good. That's fine. And then you bring yourself back, you bring your attention back to being just present where you are. And that's good too. And then that cycle repeats itself. And all of that is being present in zazen. So, and through that, one of the ways that we can habitually kind of magnify the effects of having our minds wander away and take us somewhere else is by judging that, which we often want to do, right? So if your mind wanders off, that's okay, but then you notice it's wandered off and you go, oh shit, there I go again. I suck at this, I'm not any good at this, and why am I bothering? This is wasted. And that generates a whole journey into the craziness of our self-apprehensions and all of that. Or you might be sitting really well and your mind hasn't wandered off, and all of a sudden the first thought you have when your mind wanders off is, ooh, this is great. I'm good at this. I'm probably going to be a real powerful meditator. Same thing. You've magnified the effect of your mind taking you away from being present with what is actually happening in these moments. So don't judge if your mind wandered off. That's fine. That's what it does. That's the nature of it. It's part of our existence. But in meditation, we're making an effort to be still and present, and without any particular contrivances about it, any inventions of the mind. And as you get more experienced and better at doing this, that's why we call it Zen practice. Most Zen traditions, people don't say, I'm a Zen. I'm a Zen Buddhist, or I'm a Zen practitioner. We would rather say, I practice Zen. It's like practicing piano. You're never good enough. You can always, play a C minor scale better with more fluidity and more precision. And even the best concert pianists practice every day. And so if you practice, your zazen will become more able to embody these moments of just being present without any human contrivance, and less mind wanderings. But mind wanderings, I've been doing this Zen sitting for, I think this was 50 years. And same thing, my mind is what it was 45 years ago. It still does what human minds do. But I can fill my meditation with more presence and more allowing, which can get pretty powerful, and take that practice into daily life with less, I would say, less separation between the time of meditation and the time of cooking dinner. So let's take a few minutes to sit, experience what it's like to be in this zazen state of being. It's fine where most of you, I think, are you sitting on a chair? I am. And part of being alert during meditation is to have a good posture. So you'd want to have your back kind of erect, your shoulders over your hips. So if you have a place where you can lean back on your chair, it's Usually you would want to kind of sit up a little bit front, move to the front of the chair a bit so you're holding your own back up. If you have any issues with that, though, if your back is problematic or that isn't good for you, you can lean back. That's fine, too. You want to stay alert and really awake during meditation and be totally still. So once the bell rings to start a period of meditation, whether it's 10 minutes or 30 minutes, the goal is to not move. So you leave your typical behavior patterns, your habits of, like I like to rub my nothing hair or play with my beard. And that's during any given 10-minute period, I probably do both of those 16 to 26 times or something. But in zazen, you don't. So you stay totally still. If your face starts to, your cheek gets itchy, oh well, don't scratch it. If you feel some particular feeling and you want to like twist your neck to make it change, no, don't bother. Just be present with whatever those feelings are. So it's bringing to the meditation complete stillness, awareness of your place, awareness of what your mind is doing, and being present with that awareness and allowing what's happening to happen. I think that's enough to do zazen. There's nothing that any more special about it than that. So I'm going to use this app of it'll ring a bell for us to start, and then 10 minutes later, it'll ring a bell to end the period of sitting. So I'll start it now.